In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, Jensen Ackles is on, Eric Dane from Countdown, Taron Egerton in the cast of Smoke on Apple TV+, and so much more. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and we have got an absolutely stacked episode of Pop Culture Weekly. So I hope you've got your streaming passwords memorized because we're diving headfirst into two of the buzziest shows of the summer. Countdown on Prime Video and Smoke on Apple TV+, both really great thriller series, and I'm really excited about that. First up, I'm always, I spend my 4th of July in Washington, D.C. for a Capitol 4th, which is an incredible annual special that airs on PBS, and you may have caught that I had the exclusive reveal of the lineup this year, and it is awesome. Dance floor legend himself, Alfonso Ribeiro, returns as host for this year's broadcast. It's its 45th year, and there's something for everyone with the performers. Yolanda Adams, Gospel Queen, and Auntie Yolanda, Auntie Yo. Abby Carter, American Idol Season 22 winner. Grammy-winning, chart-topping Lauren Daigle. Low Cash is going to be bringing the summertime country bops. The Beach Boys and The Temptations, two legendary bands, will be gracing the Capitol 4th stage. Trombone Shorty is performing, and country crooner Josh Turner will be performing as well. And as always, the National Symphony Orchestra, led by Jack Everly, will be providing the soundtrack for this patriotic celebration. And because it is more than just about the music, there will be some incredible tributes to the people and the stories that make America, America. There'll be a 250th anniversary salute to the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps with an armed forces medley and a full color guard. So that's going to be great. World War II's 80th anniversary tribute honoring members of the greatest generation. First responders recognition. And of course, that jaw-dropping fireworks finale with the biggest and best fireworks in the country. So you can watch live Friday, July 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern on PBS, PBS's YouTube, and pbs.org with an encore presentation immediately following at 9:30. And if you already have plans, you will want to watch it on demand from July 4th through July 18th. So you'll be able to watch it on YouTube, pbs.org, and on your on demand. So I'll be there, as always, interviewing the talent, and we'll have an episode coming out the morning of July 4th with all my interviews with all of the cast. So be sure to tune in and look for that. All right, first up, buckle up for Countdown on Prime Video. Countdown is an explosive, edge-of-your-seat thriller from the Chicago Fire creator, Derek Haas. So we're talking like ticking clocks, impossible choices, and a crazy stacked cast that includes Jensen Ackles, Eric Dane, Jessica Camacho, Violett Beane, Yuli Latukefu, and Elliot Knight. And yes, I asked them everything from secrets to survival to how it was on set. Then later, things get even more smoky, literally, with Smoke, the intense new Apple TV Plus series from the brilliant mind of Dennis Lehane, who's done Mystic River and Shutter Island, two of my favorite movies ever. This one, Smoke, has got Taron Egerton, Jurnee Smullet, Greg Kinnear, Rafe Spall, and Ntare Mwine burning up the screen. And Smoke is gritty, it's gripping, and somehow it manages to make even Greg Kinnear terrifying, which is pretty cool. So grab your popcorn, your inhaler, or maybe, vodka or water, whatever, because we're jumping right in. Pop Culture Weekly starts right now. Countdown on Prime Video. Derek Haas, he has brought us Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and probably coming soon, Chicago Bake Off. Well, Countdown is like a pulse pounding, what would you do kind of series where the clock's against you and you never know who you can trust. I love it. It reminds me of like an updated version of 24. And the cast is awesome. Jensen Ackles, who still somehow looks like a CW heartthrob and a Navy SEAL at the same time. Eric Dane, McSteamy himself, and the rest of the cast. I talk with them all. The show is packed with tension, swagger, and very attractive people diffusing extremely complicated situations. So first up is Yuli Latukefu and Elliot Knight. Yuli has this presence on screen that basically says, "Do not mess with me." But his vibe in person is totally chill. He's really awesome. And the charming and sharp Elliot Knight, who brings some nuance and tension to his role in Countdown. So let's jump right into my interview with them, Yuli Latukefu and Elliot Knight. Thank you both so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Kyle, what's up, man?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So first of all, congratulations on Countdown. It's really enjoyable. It's edge of your seat, and I'm loving it. So congrats on that.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
Of course. So there's so much to the project. There's action. You guys, shot in LA on location for a lot of it. The writing, the other talent. What drew you to doing this?
I think the uniqueness of the mix of all of those things, not as a cop-out answer, but truly, it's not that often that you get so many wonderful components coming together to make something original like that. And, Derek has a proven track record of being able to create beautiful dynamics of characters and stories that really draw people in. And I think that having a streaming home with Amazon is just a really exciting combination.
Yeah.
And it's made it really fun to be a part of.
And how about for you, Yuli?
I mean, mate, I was born and raised in Australia, so kind of the opportunity to work in the City of Angels where, the industries was born. For me, that was a real special thing that I was really hoping would happen, and it happened. And the genre again, and working with Derek, proven track record, as Elliot said. So it's all been a dream, mate, I have to tell you.
Well, it shows up on screen. So for both of you, as you're doing this, I had asked some of your castmates because it's just so fascinating to me. Like I would be fanboying out wanting to know what's next, like what's happening next in the story. Did either of you do that, or did you take it script by script, or like what did you do?
I read in advance just for my own sanity.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
kind of just understanding my personal arc.
To the end?
Well, as long as, yeah,
As
pretty much to the
right,
end.
right.
But then took my approach when filming episode by episode because I didn't want to preempt anything or anything like that. But I did need to know for me the kind of what Derek was thinking about where he would end up and that kind of thing. And
For sure.
yeah,
I think you'd fit in if that's how you feel, because I definitely felt like that. It's exciting to find out what's going to happen, and every new script feels like a little treasure chest you get to open, not knowing what's going to be inside.
yeah.
That's good. I should have been saying that more. Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's good. I like treasure chests, but it feels like that. Not just about yourself, obviously, but finding out where things are going to go, because he's really made a story that's so unpredictable. Yeah. So yeah, you would not be out of place. It's easy to get excited about.
And then, you filmed this a bit ago and now it's coming, now it's here. Do you get that same excitement that you kind of had as you were filming now that this project that you work so hard on is being unleashed to the world, or does it turn to nervousness, or like what happens?
I'm not nervous, but yeah, I guess I'm excited because watching it back, I kind of you get memories of where you shot things and who you're shooting with. That's always an important thing. I am quietly pumped for people to see it.
I love that. How about you, Elliot?
The
He's
opposite. No, it's the way that this actually feels different for me, and this is completely true. It was such a relaxed experience to enjoy doing this work, still caring about it and still bringing our all to it. But this feels like such a family energy around what we've done. I'm almost on the other side of being nervous or excited. I can't wait for people to see it, but I'm also just so proud of what we've done, and I fully believe in um the fun that we've created and what we've all done together, and anything else after that is a bonus for me. So I'm excited for anyone who does join us on this ride and enjoy the show like
Yeah.
we have, because there's a lot more that we want to do, and hopefully, and with you guys watching as well, we'll be able to do that.
Awesome. I can't wait for it. Thank you both for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. Yuli and Elliot. Great guys. Very, very sweet guys and incredibly talented actors. All right, next up, I chat with Jessica Camacho and Violett Beane. These two just own every scene that they're in. Whether they're throwing punches or throwing shade, they bring the fire to Countdown. Let's jump right into it. Jessica Camacho and Violett Beane. Thank you both so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. And I'm loving Countdown. It is awesome. And so congratulations to both of you on that.
Thank you.
Of course. So tell me about, obviously it's it's an exciting series, and but what drew you to? Was it the script? Was it the idea? Was it, what drew you to doing the project?
Yeah,
Violett, do you want to start?
I think it was a bit of all of it.
All of the
I think,
above.
yeah. I mean, the characters are awesome.
Mhm.
They're all so uniquely themselves. And Los Angeles is like, the fact that you would shoot here is so wild to me because so many shows don't, first of all, but also it's a show that takes place in LA. It's not just going to be in a studio. And we were on location probably half of the days every week, shooting in different neighborhoods. And yeah, I think just all the unique characters was such a big draw for me.
Mm-hmm.
How about for
Yeah.
you, Jessica?
Like action thriller. You know what I mean? Just the exciting nature of that, getting to play in a world where the stakes are so high. The need for resolution is immediate. It's now. And how people show up when they're operating in those stakes is fascinating to me. How the dire need to survive relies upon your skill set, your capability, your smarts, your intellect, your intuition, relying upon each other, working together, being part of a cohesive group of people whom are tasked with this mission that has detrimental costs, if we don't succeed. So I just love all of that. The excitement inherent in all of that really
Yeah.
pulled me. And then yeah, I've been talking about this all day, reading the script in which the scene in which Oliveras is introduced for the first time. It is such a delicious scene. I was picturing it immediately, and I was picturing myself in it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna play this.
She just set it up in her room and she recorded it.
A bit creepy, for my loved ones. Didn't know if I was a kid. But that first scene, I was like, she's so dynamic. There's so much to play with, and yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it's a great
in.
scene.
Yeah.
I didn't, until you just said that, it never really, really dawned on me that like everybody is bringing kind of their own skill set. Mine would be obviously making peanut butter sandwiches. But
It's important.
Hey, not
that's
everybody
what
can
I
do that.
offer.
You gotta eat.
That's true. I'll keep the team fed. But as you're reading the script, as you're shooting and all, I don't know in your particular cases, if it was like sides or if you got the whole script or whatever, but were you kind of like fanboying over like what's going to happen next?
So when we auditioned, we only got the pilot, right?
Mhm.
Yes, but then right before we started shooting, we actually got the privilege of reading all 13
If we wanted to.
if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Some people wanted to, some people didn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes we read like a couple episodes
Mhm.
ahead. But that's crazy because you never get to know that.
Yeah.
And I think we were both on the same side of like, I don't want to know too
much.
far. Because
Yeah.
you wouldn't know in real life where things are going to go. But it is
Yeah.
helpful if there's some big character choice that you are making or want to make, that you get to know
Yeah.
what's going to happen at the end. And it's very rare.
Yeah.
But Derek had already written all of them because he's crazy, our show creator. He's
Insane.
like so talented.
Yeah.
So he already knew everything, and that was fun to kind of know the general idea of where we were going.
Yeah, I like to strike the balance between like knowing enough in order to play what I needed to play,
Yeah.
but not knowing, too much so that I could still bring an element of surprise to her and alongside her. As Amber's learning information, I want to be discovering that information as well. You want to play the moment, not where they end up. So it's a balance. Yeah.
Well, I think you both balanced it beautifully. I can't wait for everybody to see the countdown. Thank you both so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. We appreciate it.
Have a good
I
one.
appreciate you. You too. Jessica and Violett. All right, last but not least, in our countdown block, Jensen Ackles and Eric Dane. Jensen, the man, the myth, and the trenchcoat legend. And McSteamy himself, Eric Dane. You loved him in Supernatural, you feared him in The Boys, and now he's back in Countdown as a man with a badge, a past, and no time for nonsense. And Eric Dane, who has officially transitioned from McSteamy to Mr. I will break you with my voice. In Countdown, he brings serious weight and those intense eyes to a role that's going to keep you guessing, and I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I did. Here they are, Jensen Ackles and Eric Dane. Thank you both so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
You gonna hit us with some pop culture trivia because we're not prepared.
No,
Okay.
no, and I wouldn't be prepared either, which
Okay, all right, good.
is kind of typical for me anyway. But first of all, I love Countdown, and it's such a great show. It's so exciting, edge of your seat, high stakes. What drew you both to doing it?
All of what you just said, honestly. Like there was the high stakes, the action packed, the intensity, the fast paced. But I'll speak for me. There was a vulnerability to this show. There was a heart to this show.
Personality.
There was a personality to this
Yeah.
show. That's right. That's very good. That I think it really it made me want to care about these characters in a way that I don't think you normally get with a show like this. You want to root for these people. You want to make them. You want to hope that they succeed. You really. I don't know. There's
the time enough invested so that you can, as an audience, invest.
correct. Yeah, and I think that's we're hoping that's what's going to give us seasons 2, 3, 10, 15.
20. And that actually was something I was going to ask you guys was, is there more room in this world for more stories?
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Derek's an absolute phenom of a writer. He's got stories for days up his sleeve.
Yes, he has like 47 different shows on the air right now, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's a testament to who he is and what he's capable of. And I think he is proudly hanging his hat on this show as he should, because I think he's done a dynamite job.
Yeah, it really is a great show. And, and I feel like we don't have a lot of shows like this anymore. Like when I was a kid, remember 24, like had that, that was kind of like an edge of your seat show for me. And I feel like we've been kind of missing that, and Countdown brings it back, at least for me. It scratches that itch,
Well, I don't know what we've been doing, but that is a great reference, 24.
Yeah. I've used that.
Yeah.
That's a great reference.
Yeah. I don't see the show as a throwback, but I do understand what you mean, and it's an elevated procedural. And like Jensen said, you get to invest in these characters because you get the time to care about them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody is going to. I can't wait for everybody. I can't wait for it to come out so I can start talking to people about it, because now I'm like, I can't talk to anybody about it yet. So
1 week, baby. 1 week.
there we go. Thank you, Eric and Jensen. I really, really appreciate both of your time. I can't wait for everybody to see Countdown. Jensen and Eric. Love these two amazingly talented actors. Love Countdown, and I think you will too. It is streaming right now on Prime Video. So hit me up. Let me know if you're watching it. Let me know what you think. There's a lot to talk about with this one. So let's get to talking. All right, don't go anywhere. We're taking a quick 60-second break to pay the bills and to keep the lights on over here at Pop Culture Weekly. But when we come back, we're diving into Smoke on Apple TV Plus with Taron Egerton and the rest of the cast. All right, thanks for hanging with me and supporting our sponsors who support me, that help me bring this show to you. So, all right, let's talk about Smoke, Apple TV Plus's latest entry into the gritty crime drama that will emotionally wreck you in 8 episodes. And I mean that in the best way possible. It is so good. This one comes from Dennis Lehane, who, let's be honest, doesn't write stories as much as emotional uppercuts, often with Boston accents. So if you've seen Mystic River, Gone Baby Gone, or Shutter Island, you know Dennis does not come to play. Smoke is moody, it's messy in the best way possible, and it's really magnetic. It stars Taron Egerton, who somehow manages to look both dangerous and like he'd apologize for bumping into you at Starbucks. And Jurnee Smullet, Greg Kinnear, just the whole cast is giving Emmy bait with a side of, oh no, I need therapy after this episode. It's that good. So I sat down with everybody to talk about the show. Let's get right into it. First up is actor Ntare Mwine, whose performance in Smoke is so layered, you'll be thinking about it long after the credits roll. Let's jump right into it. Here he is, Ntare Mwine. Thank you so much, Ntare, for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle. What's up, pop culture?
Was this that?
What's up, pop culture?
I'm loving Smoke. It is a really incredible series. And so congratulations to you on that. So I was talking to Dennis earlier and Taron about the series, and I asked them what drew them to this. And I wonder the same with you, just because, you know, I'm interested in this for this project because it is, to me, kind of fascinating on how it is originally a true story that was then a book that was then a podcast that is now a limited series that is inspired by, based on this. What drew you to Smoke?
Dennis Lehane, Taron Egerton, Jurnee Smullet, the incredible team that's assembled here is a dream to work with. And Dennis has been a mastermind in creating psychological thrillers that have taken us on a thrill ride that is, you wonder where it all comes from. This piece, there was a source material, so there was some sort of loosely inspired by true events. My character is loosely inspired by one of the most prolific serial arsonists in U.S. history. So that, what a playground, any actor's dream to be able to dive into this world.
And were you able to, or did you, kind of, speaking of diving into the world, did you dive into the reality at all? Or did you, what was your angle as an actor? What was your tactic for that?
Freddie Fasano's lived a life that, from my point of view, was unimaginable. I didn't know anyone who's sort of gone through circumstances that he's lived through. I had no sort of personal connection to what he's been through. When I spoke with Dennis, I was like, where did this come from? How did you write this? And he just simply said his imagination. He let his imagination run free. And sometimes when you do that, you can surprise yourself and surprise others. And so that gave me the creative license to sort of play and play within the incredible dialogue that he written, the incredible scene partners that I had, Dakota Dolby, Adina Porter, Taron Egerton, and having that sort of creative license, playing opposite them, led to fireworks that I think surprised all of us.
As you are preparing for a role like this, do you dive into the reality of it? Do you, go introspective? What's your method?
I mean, you try as much as you can to try to understand the reality of what the characters lived through. But for me, with this role, I had to let go of that because there's nothing I can never fully understand the depths of despair that this character's lived through. I would be a fool to say that I understand his pain or his suffering or his loneliness. All I could do is try to pretend and let my imagination go on what that might be like and hope and pray that that translates on screen. But for you to ask me, do you really know what it feels like to be Freddie? I was like, I can't speak to that because there's people who really have lived through that. And I have utmost empathy for anyone who's been through this journey.
Yeah. And for you, you're such a creative person. You've done so many projects from stage, documentary, film, series. Is there something that when you were, considering your next project, do you have a pattern, or is it just like, my agent sent me this awesome project and I'm interested in it? Or is there's something, more to it? Is there stories you're drawn to over, one type over another?
Yeah. Sometimes we can self-sabotage ourselves as actors. I never would have thought I could do this role. This character's so far out that I was never pitching my agent saying, this is the kind of role I need to play. He's needs this, the other. I don't give any spoilers away, but if I had said to my reps, this is the kind of thing I want, I would never have thought, I would never have dreamt up a role like this. And so to be given this opportunity, sometimes you got to think outside the box and be surprised at what is handed to you as an opportunity and be willing to just dive in. Because even when I got the audition material, my first audition scene was a barbershop scene where they're shaving my character's surly afro. And as you can see, I'm not very well gifted in the hair department. And I was like, well, how do I even do that audition scene? Because they're talking about cutting my hair and I'm recording an audition where I have no hair. I'm talking about my hair. I was like, it just didn't even make sense. I was like, should I wear a wig? And then I was like, that's going to look cheesy. So all I could do is sort of let go of expectations. And sometimes when you let go of expectations, you experience the divine. And hopefully that is what happened on screen with this.
I love that. Sometimes when you let go of expectations, you experience the divine. That's very powerful. Finally, what do you hope that a viewer gets from Smoke? Ultimately, while it is a dramatized version, this is why I don't use big words, but why it is a fictionalized version of true events, that, it is based on some truly horrible, horrible things. What do you hope that a viewer gets watching Smoke?
I think that viewers are going to get a thrill. I mean, it's a thrilling ride of love, loss, and revenge. And what happens when people try to connect with someone, want desperately something from someone else, and end up doing the thing that makes things worse. I mean, we've all been in situations where you've lost something and you try to get it back and it just makes it worse. And you get in a vicious cycle and you can't figure out how to get out of it. This is not to the extreme, but in a way that you hope for the best for the characters. And you see their attempt to try to get the best for themselves, but in the process somehow shoot themselves in the foot. And then you hope for the best for them again.
Much like life, I would say.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. I can't wait for everybody to see Smoke, and then I can finally talk about it with people.
Thank you for getting the word out.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too.
Ntare! Awesome guy, such a charming guy and a great actor. All right, next up, the man behind the madness, Dennis Lehane. His resume reads like a syllabus for incredibly well-crafted Trauma 101. The Drop, Mystic River, Shutter Island, and now with Smoke, he's once again proving that no one writes morally complex, emotionally devastating drama quite like he does. So let's jump into it. Dennis Lehane. Thank you so much for speaking with me, Dennis. I really appreciate it.
No, pleasure. Thanks.
Of course. So first of all, congratulations on Smoke. It is really compelling and I absolutely love it. What this story, which is obviously, based on a true story, has been through a book and a podcast, now a limited series. Why did you decide to create this in this form?
It was brought to me by Carrie Antolis, who did the podcast, Firebug. And then he brought it to me. And even when he was pitching it to me, telling me the story, I was like, not really, I don't know. But he stuck with me because I had the exact same reaction to Blackbird too. So I'm very hard to convince to do stuff. So I listened to the podcast. I went back to him and I just said, look, Carrie, I really like one thing about this that I feel like I could look into, which is I like this idea of this guy who's so in denial that he's an arson investigator chasing a serial arsonist who he happens to be. And then he's writing a book about it in which he's putting in fires that mirror the actual fires with the information that only the actual arsonist could know. That I find interesting because I find this sort of, I don't know, I just find denial interesting. And so I said, if I can do that and I can pull in this idea of fire, like what does fire mean? What does fire mean metaphorically? What does it mean? What does it mean emotionally? What does it mean psychologically? What is it to be trapped in a fire? If I can do that, and then I can throw out everything else because I really don't want to do the 1980s. I don't want to do Glendale, California. I don't want to do this guy's trial. I don't want to do any of that. Then I'll do it. And then I had the exact same conversation with Taron, and Taron said, if you're doing that character, I'll do it. And so then we were off to the races. But it was always meant to be a heavy fictionalized version inspired by a true event, which was this one guy who had done this one thing. And there's a little of the same thing in the Freddy character. The Freddy character was inspired by an actual guy too. And so inspired by, and then you break bad, and then you go as far afield as you want to go. And I think where we really had the most fun with that early on was Michelle. There's no Michelle in this story, in the real facts of the real case. And I just said, what if we created an investigator who had her own really warped relationship with fire? And what if she was attracted to fire in a way that she didn't even understand? And it's the reason that she ended up going to war. It's the reason she became a cop. It's the reason she makes all these disastrous romantic decisions. It's all of a piece. And that's when the show began to get really fun in the writer's room. I remember that.
It's interesting to me that you were, I don't want to say so adamantly against it, but so really almost not interested in a way in the early stages to where, you've been able to creatively kind of, as you said, go on a fictionalized version and kind of run with it.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating for me, just for you as a creator, and then how it comes together so well. Obviously, in my opinion, it was the right creative decision. It's an incredibly great series, and I think the decisions that you've made obviously worked very well to support that. Taron, you worked with him on Blackbird.
Yep.
Was he at the forefront of your thoughts as you were kind of exploring this project?
Yeah, I brought it to Taron before I wrote a line of dialogue. I mean, I brought it to Taron before I wrote anything. And we both got jazzed by the idea of the character and what we were trying to investigate. I don't like to say things. I like to investigate. I like to question things. So we thought, what are we saying about sort of male culture right now that's different than what we said in Blackbird, but also of a piece? We really But that's something that he and I love to investigate. What is it? What is manhood in the modern world? You know? And so we ran down that path, and he was all in because he knew this was going to be a crazy character to play. He knew I was going to take it someplace absolutely nuts. I mean, that was something that I was conveying to him through text very early on. I'm like, this show is going mad. And you know, it was a wonderful feeling in the writer's room when we realized we were going to just blow the doors off this thing. Like it was just, Blackbird was a very controlled, it was a very controlled piece of narrative. And this just felt like, no, this demands chaos. You're trying to write about chaos. You're trying to write about something that's dangerously both chaotic and sexy, which is fire, and insanely destructive. And what does that mean for everybody involved? And that just allowed us, that became our marching orders. Like basically, there's no limit to where the show can go.
And is that part of what, attracts you to a project like this, where you can do something like Blackbird, which you said is more controlled, and then this, you're like, okay, we're going the opposite way with this.
Yeah.
Is that something that attracts you as a creator to that?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's someplace I've never been before, and I think that's what attracts both Taron and I think, are the secret to our collaboration. Is neither of us likes to do things unless something about it scares us. I think that's a big thing. Like Taron doesn't like to take roles unless they scare him, unless some part of him is like, can I do that? And I don't like to write something unless I'm like, ooh, I could really mess this up. I could really screw this up. And so let's give it a try. That's what keeps the juices flowing. You know what I mean? That's what keeps it, you do it. It's the Tom Sizemore line. You do it for the action and heat, that's what it is, so.
I love that, Dennis. Thank you so much. I can't wait for everybody to see Smoke so I can talk about it. I'm like itching for discussion on it, and I can't do it yet. So I can't wait for everybody to enjoy it.
I really appreciate the enthusiasm. It's great to hear. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Cheers, you too.
Dennis Lehane. Love that I got to talk to him, and he's just, his work, some of my favorite projects, like Mystic River, Shutter Island is one of my favorite movies. Gone Baby Gone, like what? Anyway, all right, next up, Greg Kinnear and Rafe Spall. Together, they bring a wild energy to Smoke. A little bit charming, a little bit unhinged, which honestly, kind of how I would describe me. Let's jump right into it. Greg Kinnear and Rafe Spall. Thank you, Greg and Rafe, for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So first of all, congratulations on the series. Smoke is so compelling. It's such a powerful story. What drew both of you to this project?
I was a huge fan of Blackbird, that of course starred Greg Kinnear and Taron Egerton. I was really blown away by it. And then I got an email about speaking with Dennis about it. I read the first few episodes and was blown away by them. Look, it's a show which is ostensibly about fire and arson, and that is an inherently fascinating subject. But what kept me there, and which in turn will keep the audience interested, was the universal themes between the characters in terms of, people letting themselves down, people doing bad things. I think that's pretty identifiable. All the characters in this, I think, see themselves as good people. But from the outside point of view, we can see that they do bad things. So nothing is black and white. There is a lot of gray there. So that kept me interested, wanted to be a part of it. And I think it will be the same for the audience as well.
And how about for you, Greg?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I was, I mean, this is a wonderful group of actors we got to work with, like Blackbird, and I was never bored on this show with what anybody was doing with what they had. Partially that's credit to the writers and Dennis because as Rafe's saying, I mean, these characters are not obvious. But I remember reading it and thinking, oh, this is going to be interesting to see how this actor takes this. And sure enough, everybody lived up to expectations and created something that is, I think unexpected. And it's fueled by kind of an exotic, weird thing of arson, at its, front and center. It's based loosely off a podcast called Firebug. That's just kind of the starting point of it. But, um, it's a pretty unexpected show in terms of, the dance it's doing, I think.
Yeah, as I was talking to Taron and Dennis earlier, and what I find so fascinating about it is, it's essentially based on true events. That then there was this book, then there was this podcast, and now there's this limited series. And yet, Dennis told me that he chose specifically to divert away, use the real story as the basis, but divert away from many of the reality, which I find so fascinating to me. Is that for both of you, and Greg, you can start. As you're doing something that is loosely based on real events, do you dive into that reality news pieces and that sort of thing, or do you pull back and kind of do your own take based on the script?
Yeah, I find, that the source material for me is the script first and foremost. These other elements, I mean, listen, there are people who making true stories, but even every story is taking license. I think in having worked with him in Blackbird, I saw this. I think keeping the show entertaining and interesting and making it something for an audience is first and foremost what is interesting to him. It's certainly what I support. I've seen shows that I'm sure are very accurate, but that's not what I'm chasing. I'm chasing for a full-bodied, interesting series that's gonna take me to places I don't expect, and if that has to deviate from reality, so be it. And I think that we have a great launching point on this, but this thing goes, to some pretty twisted places that even the actual, um, reality and story wouldn't take you to.
And for you, Rafe, is that kind of the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Much like Greg, the Bible is the script. That's the jumping off point. Now, I think if you're playing someone that everybody in the world knows. So if you're going to play Muhammad Ali or whatever, or someone that everyone knows and that everyone understands the rhythms of their speech, and everyone knows bits about their story, you have a kind of duty, whoever's playing that person, to be as accurate as possible. But if you're doing a world which is kind of based on a story of a load of people that, apart from the people in their families, no one's ever heard of them, no one knows what they look like or sound like, it's a blank canvas to be as creative as possible. So I think it changes from project to project. If you're playing someone super famous, then you have a duty to kind of in some way give an accurate portrayal of that person. But when it comes to prep, you got the scripts, and if there are bits from the actual story that are helpful and playable, then so be it. But a lot of research can be quite dry and not playable. What's playable is human emotion, and that can come from myriad places, like a song or a book that's got nothing to do with it, something that might inspire you.
And I love that. And finally, it is some heavy material. How did you both kind of keep it light when needed as you're shooting? I assume, I don't know, I'm not an actor, but I assume you need some levity in, kind of when you're dealing with such heavy stuff. Maybe I'm totally off, but
I would say, yeah, I would say the off-camera chemistry was really excellent. I think everybody on this show was, um, was really great. Good people, fun to work with, and when when the cameras weren't doing their thing, we had a lot of laughs.
We did have, and that's what's important, is having fun, because we breathe very sanctified air and getting to do what we do. We do the jobs that we dreamed of doing when we were kids. We get to put makeup on, wear other people's clothes, and pretend to do shit.
These were your dreams?
These are my dreams, and they continue.
See, you guys get paid for that. I try to do it, and I got sorry.
Yeah, exactly. We get paid for it. People bring us into work. They bring us coffee. Everyone's super nice to you when you're an actor.
Saratoga when you want it.
Exactly. It's a damn fine life, and actors tend to be really lovely people, open and fun and funny and self-deprecating, and it's a lovely job. Nice work if you can get it.
I love that. Thank you both so much. I can't wait for everybody to see Smoke, so I can talk about it with them. I'm like dying to discuss it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Have a great day. Red Kinnear, Rafe Spall. But you can tell everybody's so passionate about Smoke. It's such a good series, and you just gotta watch it. It's on Apple TV Plus. It is so good, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. All right, next up, Jurnee Smullet. And when I say she devours every scene she's in, I mean, you might want to keep snacks nearby just to emotionally recover. We talked about what drew her to Smoke, how she prepped, and so much more. Let's jump in right now. Jurnee Smullet. Thank you so much, Jurnee, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course. So, first of all, congratulations on Smoke. I love it. It's such compelling television. I find it interesting for me that it kind of had this interesting journey from, kind of real life to book to podcast to now, this limited series, where the series itself isn't, it's not like a documentary. So there's a lot of creative license and that sort of thing. Is that part of what drew you to it? Like, I feel like there's this mystique to this whole kind of backstory of the show itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, Dennis Lehane is such a skilled writer, and being in his hands with a project that is a crime thriller, I mean, it doesn't get better, right? The two, right? And yes, while it's inspired by true events, he does take he takes a lot of creative liberties with the story, and a lot of the characters, especially my character, Michelle, it was his brainchild, And I remember speaking to him early on, and he said, Jurnee, everyone says that they want to be happy, but why are we drawn to the very things that want to destroy us? And that question of why is honestly at the heart of Michelle. When you meet Michelle, she's literally destroying her home in order to rebuild it. And we will see that she's in a pattern of destruction and creation. And when she's paired with Dave, Taron's character, at first they're in this like weird dynamic of neither of them want to be there. And then he starts getting in her mind, she starts getting in his mind. Then one minute they're kind of like brother and sister. Then the next minute there's this sexual tension. And so, I think Dennis is so skilled at writing crime thrillers that are at its core character-driven stories.
I love that so much. And it is a heavy, heavy topics that we're dealing with. How did you, as an actor, as a person, how did you have some levity, or did you live in that world for the entire shoot? Or were you able to take, steal moments that you could be Jurnee and be happy and not all this heavy stuff?
That's a great question. I remember back when I was shooting this TV show called Underground about, the Underground Railroad. I would live with that stuff, man, and take it home and stay in it. And now I'm a mom, so I don't have that luxury because my son is not only, he's in and out of my trailer, going to craft service, coming and checking on mommy. Mommy, I want to sit at the monitor and watch this scene. And if it's a scene he can watch, I let him, And so Hunter honestly has changed my approach to my craft. I have to be very efficient with it. I have to do a lot of prep in the wee hours, early mornings, late nights. But when I come home, he wants dinner and he wants to play, And so I think it's a blessing because he helps me find those moments of levity.
I love that so much. And I love Smoke and I love you in it.
Oh,
You
thank
are
you.
amazing, Jurnee. Thank you. I can't wait for everybody to see Smoke exclusively on Apple TV Plus. Thank you.
Appreciate the love.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Jurnee Smullet. All right. Our next and final guest for this episode, Taron Egerton. I love this man. Golden Globe winner, Rocket Man, Kingsman, sometimes mustache icon, Robin Hood, Sing, Tetris, Legend, Billionaire Boys Club, and so much more. And I love everything he's done. He is one of my favorite actors. In Smoke, he's playing a man whose moral compass is flexible. So we talked about diving into that darkness and so much more. Here he is for the first time on Pop Culture Weekly, Taron Egerton. Thank you so much for talking with me, Taron. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks, Kyle. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, man. First of all, I love your work. Tetris and Eddie the Eagle, Rocket Man. Rocket Man's one of my favorite films ever.
Thank you.
And Blackbird, and now Smoke. What drew you to doing Smoke?
So, when a writer like Dennis likes you, you don't pass up on the opportunity to work with him again. So I was drawn to it because, well, I knew what the character was in a nutshell because it's based on a true story. But I also knew that to have the opportunity to have a second outing with Dennis after Blackbird was just a really one of those opportunities that you just can't pass up on. I'd so loved making that show and playing Jimmy in Blackbird alongside Paul, who played Larry, was there just a really extraordinary creative moment for me. And the show remains something that I really am fiercely proud of. So when Dennis says, hey, do you want to come and tell another story with me? It's like, yeah, well, sign me up. And it was great. I think as well, to be completely honest, I suspect Dennis I loved doing Blackbird, as I've said, but, a part of me, I think, always was watching what Paul was doing with some, if not envy, a mixture of admiration and desire, and I think Dennis, to his credit, maybe saw that on some level, and I think he recognized this show, Smoke, as an opportunity for me to maybe have a go at doing something a little nearer to that, and play the weird guy.
For you, you're also an EP on this. You're an executive producer. Why this project?
So I think for me, I suppose when there's a project where my involvement feels like it is broader than just the job of an actor stepping on set. I say just, I think it's I suppose it just feels like a reflection of my involvement in things behind the scenes. And it tends to be, when I ask to be a producer on something or I'm approached to be a producer on something, it's normally those things where I feel especially excited about it creatively, and it's always a lovely thing when you're allowed that opportunity. But I don't always ask, and I'm not always offered, and I suppose it's a reflection in some senses of not my investment, but my involvement,
I love that. And I want to thank you so much for speaking with me. I can't wait for everybody to see this. And I have a feeling that we'll end up seeing you at the Emmys again. So congratulations.
Well, that's lovely of you to say. Might be a little early for congratulations, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Of course, Taron. Have a great day.
You too, mate. Thanks for your time.
Taron Egerton. Love him. I love that he joined us on Pop Culture Weekly, and I love Smoke, which is on Apple TV Plus right now, and I'm telling you, it is really, 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 really good. So watch it, let's talk about it, and yeah, that's all I got. So, all right, let me know what you think of this episode. Hit me up on socials, and let's talk Countdown, Smoke, or whatever else you want to talk about with pop culture, or leave a voicemail. If you're on the free iHeartRadio app, you can hit that talkback button. Comes right to me, or go to my site, podcast.popcultureweekly.com, and there's a voicemail button on every page. You might just be featured on the show. All right, we're back on the 4th for an all-star special celebrating a Capitol 4th live from the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. I can't wait to see you then. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Taron Egerton, Eric, Dane, and Jensen Ackles. How did this become such a dreamy episode?